Man, here we are again on vacation. What a day. It's been fun. It's been one of the funnest days I think I've had in years in my life. And it's really been fun. God has put in front of me one person behind the other that was receptive. Oh, isn't it nice when you talk to people and they're receptive? They actually, this man said, God sent you here. I needed this bad. I needed it. And that's the thing. But let's look in Matthew chapter 16 and verse 27. And this is red writing. This is Jesus speaking. He said, "For the Son of Man shall come in the glory of his Father with his angels, and then he shall reward every man according to his works. 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 He's talking about works. So here we are. How do we do it? We do it with works. We get the attention of God with works. And that's what we need to do. That's the how. Now in verse 16, what is he saying here? We're building his church. Well, how do you build a church? You build it with works. If you've got good spiritual works, people are going to want to come. And if you haven't got good spiritual works, people ain't going to want to come. And so you got to have good spiritual works. You also now have to have from the people inside of the church physical works, good physical works. Peter used the word us. Peter used the word us in his book much. Us. Who is us? We are the children of God in a group together in a one place that we call a church. And what is the church? It ain't that junky old building. It's the people that are gathered in there in unison, in agreement, and they're working together, and they're making things work. We have the children's ministry, some 60, 70 young children, and then the middle age group where teenagers, where there's 30, 40 of them, and then you have a few grown-ups left, and you got a whole lot of grown-ups sitting there, but there are a few doing all the work. And so we need to all get on the ball and do it. There was no law in the New Testament church. When Jesus sent the disciples out, he said, go and make more converts. Make more disciples. How do you do that? You work. You go out and work. Hey, I came through the days of Christian life back in the 70s when we went knocking doors. Every day we went knocking doors. Well, I knocked the doors. I knocked every door on my street, the street I lived on. Walked down the whole street I lived on, knock on every door. Let them know who I was and where I went to church. And we weren't very well liked because God was working there, and people didn't like it when God was working. so we got some not very rave reviews sometimes. But we went out. We took 7 buses and filled them up with children and brought them in on Sunday. How you do that? You get out and do it. If you don't get out and do it, it's not going to happen. It's only going to happen if you do it. So there's a law. We're in a law right now. And the church that I'm in right now is in a law. Why is it in a law? The Bible said that what Peter said, God said, I'm going to build my church on what you said, Peter. What did Peter say? Jesus said, who am I, Peter? Jesus said, thou art the Christ, the Son of God. And Jesus said, I'm going to build my church on this, Peter. He's not going to build it on Peter. I had a little discussion today with a Catholic man that said, hey, Peter's it. He's the gate. He's the one. He's the one. I said, wait a minute, sir. No, I'm going to argue with you about it. But that's not what it said. It says he's going to build his church on those words, Peter said, that he is the Christ. He's the one that's being built on. If we're not building it on him, we got the wrong gates. We've got the wrong gates. The Bible said hell shall not prevail against that statement that Jesus Christ is the Son of God, and hell's not going to prevail against it. What is our problem? Wow, with a great big question mark behind it. What is our problem? Let's test it and see where we are. Are we in misery? Many of us are. The preacher can't hardly study for having to wait on people that are in misery and having problems and this and that. They could start it out by starting to follow the Lord themselves and get in there and get going and do it. Time, 10%. Now, what I said on an excerpt earlier, you owe 16 point something hours to the Lord. If you're not giving it to Him, then you're failing. And if you're failing in that, that means that you're not prospering. God wants you to prosper. He wants you to prosper. And He wants you to prosper good. That there won't be any want in His house. That everything will be met. It starts, like I said, I don't want to get back on tithing, but that's where it starts, back there. Let's look at the answer. What is the answer? Number 1. Clear the way. How do you clear the way? You use that 10% bulldozer. Put that 10% in, and that's the bulldozer to clear the way. It'll clear it. And by the way, I've got down here something that I do. It's called fasting. Fasting is you go without eating for a day. You just don't eat. And you pray. And you ask God for power. Where's your power come from? It'll come from fasting. You can get power. And let's see, I can get all the grading done in the spiritual ditch. If I fast a little bit. If I pray a little bit. And I walk in the light of God. And take care of the first pledge. I pledged myself to God when I got saved. I took myself out of the liquor bottle, out of the cigarette pack, out of the lying, cheat, stealing, out of that, and pledged myself to God. And I started plowing a ditch for the Lord, and been plowing it ever since. And it's been getting deeper and wider and all over. And oh, this is going to hurt. I pledged $100 a month to the Lord until the day I die. What about your 10%? That's the tithe. What's the $100? That's your gift. That's above your tithe. That's your offering. Hey, you want to have a good life? I got a house worth $200,000 is paid for. I owe nothing on it, nothing. How did that happen? I'm a poor working man. How did it happen? God gave me the material when I needed it. I prayed about it, and I went to the place. I said to this guy, what you got out there in the yard? And God had the guy give me piles of material. And piles of material. And I went to another lumber yard. He gave me piles of material. I went to another lumber yard. He gave me piles of material. I went out to his cement bags. I said, all these broken bags of cement, what you going to do? He said, bring a trailer and back it up. We'll put them on there. And I take my sledgehammer, break them up, mix them with water and sand. I got cement. Hey, God met the need for everything that I needed. Let's look at the suggestion here. Put out a pledge, make a request, and ask Lord to give you above and beyond the tithing of the month. And He'll do it. He'll give you above and beyond. You put out. That's called fleecing the Lord. Do you dare fleece the Lord? You better be right with Him first now. When you fleece Him, you be right with Him. He'll meet your need, then you can meet the need of the church. And that's what's important. Number 2. Offer the church. You ain't going to like this. 1 week a year. Give that whole salary to the Lord. 1 week. You made $320 this week. After taxes and everything. And you give the Lord that $320. You say, Peter, I've been tithing. I'm stretched and I'm doing this and that. Commit yourself. Commit yourself. Hey, you want to grow? You want the church to grow? You want things to grow? Get right with God. When you get right with God, put Him first. He'll put you first. See you next time. Bye-bye.